Well, welcome back, friends. This is Chapter 4 of The Adventures of Jonathan Gullible, a free market odyssey by Ken Schooland, read with his permission. Chapter 4, The Food Police. Paths converged with the dirt trail as it broadened into a gravel country road. Instead of jungle, Jonathan passed rolling pastures and fields of ripening crops and rich orchards. The sight of all that food growing reminded Jonathan of how little he had eaten for lunch. He detoured toward a neat white farmhouse, hoping to find his bearings and maybe another meal. On the front porch, he found a young woman and a small boy huddled together crying. "Excuse me," said Jonathan awkwardly. "Is there any trouble?" The woman looked up, eyes wet with tears. "It's my husband. Oh, my husband," she wailed. "I knew one day it would come to this. He's been arrested," she sobbed, "by the food police." "I'm very sorry to hear about that, ma'am. Did you say food police?" asked Jonathan. He patted the dark head of the boy sympathetically. "Why did they arrest him?" The woman gritted her teeth, fighting to hold back tears. Scornfully, she said, "His crime was that of growing too much food." Jonathan was shocked. This island was truly a strange place. It's a crime to grow too much food? The woman continued, "Last year the food police issued orders telling him how much food he could produce and sell to the country folk. They told us that too much food would lower prices and so hurt the other farmers." She bit her lip slightly, then blurted out, "My husband was a better farmer than all the rest of them put together." Instantly, Jonathan heard a sharp roar of laughter behind him. A heavy-set man strutted up the path from the road to the farmhouse. "Ha!" he sneered. "I say that the best farmer is the one who gets the farm, right?" With a grand sweep of his hand, the man glared at the woman and her son and commanded, "Now get your things packed and out of here. The Council of Lords has awarded this land to me." The man grabbed up a toy dog that was lying on the steps and thrust it into Jonathan's hands. "I'm sure she can use the help, boy. Get moving. This is my place now." "That's a matter of debate," the man chuckled. I skipped a paragraph. The woman stood up, her eyes glaring in anger. "My husband was a better farmer than you'll ever be." "That's a matter of debate," the man chuckled rudely. "Oh, sure, he had green fingers, and he was a genius at figuring out what to plant and how to please his customers. Quite a man, but he forgot one thing. The Council of Lords sets the prices in crops, and the food police enforce the council's rules." "You parasite," yelled the woman. "Your farming methods are incompetent. You waste good manure and seed on everything you plant, and no one wants to buy what you grow. You plant in a floodplain or on parched clay, and it never matters if you lose anything. You just get the Council of Lords to pay for the rot. They've even paid you to destroy entire crops." Jonathan frowned. "There's no advantage in being a good farmer?" "Being a good farmer is a handicap," answered the woman as her face reddened. "My husband, unlike this toad, refused to flatter the lords and tried to produce honest crops and real sales." Shoving the woman and her boy off the porch, the man growled, "Enough! He refused to follow the annual quotas. No one bucks the food police and gets away with it. Now get off my land." Jonathan helped the woman carry her belongings. The woman and her son walked slowly away from their former home. At a bend in the road, all turned to take one last look at the neat house and barn. "What will happen to you now?" asked Jonathan. The woman sighed. "I can't afford to pay the high food prices. Luckily, we've got relatives and friends to rely on for help. Otherwise, I could beg the Council of Lords to take care of Davy and me. They'd like that," she muttered bitterly. She took the young boy's hand and picked up a large bundle, saying, "Come along, Davy." Jonathan gripped his stomach, now feeling a little more sick than hungry. Before I talk about the brainstorming and commentary and references in this chapter, it just seems to be relevant because I was just reading today that there are farmers in the United States that are destroying crops right now, and even slaughtering and destroying animals that could be sold. Kind of just an interesting commentary because that's actually happening right now as we speak. Brainstorming. Why are some farmers paid not to grow crops? What would that do to the price and availability of food for consumers? How does that affect poor people? What kinds of dependency arise? How does the government benefit? Are there real examples of this behavior? Well, we just talked about some, right? Actually happening right now. Why do we have import duties on food? What ethical issues are involved in the use of force? We've heard that one before. Products and production belong to the producers. What is unjust is to enslave producers by robbing them of what they produce with their labor or work. That's from Alan Burris, a Liberty Primer. Commentary. In many countries, efficient farmers who grow an abundance of food or sell food at too low a price can be fined and imprisoned. This government meddling in the economy is a violation of individual rights and, as a practical and humane matter, is detrimental to consumers. The reason people are poor is not because some farmers produce too much. High production lowers prices and benefits everyone, including the poor. Instead, people are made poorer because efficient farmers are prevented from producing. Such intervention is accomplished by government control boards, tariffs, and subsidies. Even efficient farmers lose the incentive to produce. Once subsidies are introduced, they tend to remain in place forever. It would take unusual courage on the part of a politician to remove them. If there is no government interference, consumer demand will control what and how much is produced by the prices they are willing to pay. Another extract from Jonathan's Guiding Principles. And to lose the product of your life and freedom is to lose the portion of your past that produced it. Background. The Economist magazine once reported that farmers in the U.S. were paid to take as much as a third of the arable land out of production. This was about 65 million acres, about the size of Great Britain. Currently, U.S. farmers are still being paid to destroy crops such as sugar, beets, prunes, and cranberries. Oddly enough, this information is not hidden. Newspapers will print front-page headlines about hurricane or hail damage, but they report on their back sections about the far larger destruction of crops by government officials. Most people accept this as they assume their government must be acting with good intentions for the citizens' benefit. Japan and Europe have worse policies, ensuring that their own farm products won't be undersold by cheap foreign imports. All this to the detriment of consumers. In 1982, the American taxpayer spent $2.3 billion to buy up almost all the powdered milk, all of the cheese, and all of the butter produced by American dairymen. Johanna Newman, 1983. What do you think is the trouble with farming? Well, in my day, said the farmer, when we talked about what we could raise on 60 acres, we meant crops, not government loans. References. The Machinery of Freedom by David Davy Friedman, Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt, and Liberty Primer by Alan Burris are all useful references. There are several books and articles that tell of awful agricultural policies. Notable is James Bovard's The Farm Fiasco, a devastating analysis of the waste, fraud, and corruption in agricultural policy. In Healing Our World, the chapter Destroying the Environment by Mary Ruark deals with the effect of subsidies on wildlife, water, and farming habits. And that is Chapter 4, The Food Police. I will see you soon with Chapter 5, Candles and Coats. Have a great day.